Good day, ma'am. Good day, everyone. I'm Shalamig Palomares, Bscrim Section A member of Group 3. Our topic is all about HIA and amor proprio, but as of now, I will going to report the HIA. According to my research, the Filipino concept of HIA, often translated as shame or embarrassment, has often received ambivalent or negative interpretation. From the word hiya, it is very common to us Filipino because kita Filipino makasabot tag different language, makaspeak tag different language. So from the word hiya, it is very common to us. Kay hiya in Bisaya is wow. So mao gyud na ang atong pagsabot sa hiya. Sa Tagalog kay hiya man, di ba? In English, shame or embarrassment or negative interpretation. So paano kayo kanang sanay? Like, no need na sa further explanation kayo. Kung ano kayo siya kanang common na ba? Napamala siya deeper nga meaning, napamala siya deeper nga word, pero ang ato i-focus karon is ang ato ang nahibawan, ato ang common used ana ang word, di ba? So in this article, it has two types of hiya, which are the hiya that is suffered as shame or embarrassment, which is a passion. Second, the hiya that is an active and sacrificial self-control of one's individual wants for the sake of other people, or a virtue. Virtue of ethics is a distinction from aquinas. This distinction is not only leads to a more positive appraisal of hiya, it also leads to a new understanding of associated concepts that are often confused with hiya, such as amor proprio, pakikisama, and the infamous crab mentality. Defending hiya as a virtue is a part of an even wider philosophical project. The move from Filipino values to a Filipino virtue of ethics. Hiya translated roughly into English shame, which I have said earlier. On a deeper level, it refers to one's sense of self. So, kana kay kanang, di ba, ingon ko ninyo lately nga, kanang, ang hiya, kanang ko siya deeper nga meaning, pero as of now, mag-focus lang ta sa ato ang kanang na-learn o katong nahibaw. Learn or hibawan. So, like this, on a deeper level, it refers to one's sense of self, priority, and respect. Filipino may be more motivated to succeed by a fear of shame rather than fear of failing the task at hand. So, mao na siya, di ba? Kanang, sa pangato, itong ingon ako ninyo nga, it has deeper meaning pag yun siya. Pero ang ato itakod karon is ang unsa ang kanang hiya sa ato ang nahibawan. Hiya and amor proprio. But amor proprio will be tackled by Mr. Pagawara. And that's all. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Marcia Pagawara Jr., Bscrim student, Section Alpha, 21 years of age, from Sinakainan, Katiban, Bohol. Today, I will be reporting about the topic amor proprio. So, let's proceed. What is amor proprio? Amor proprio is a Spanish word which means self, love. Amor means love and proprio means self. It is a sense of self-esteem or self-respect that prevents a person from swallowing his pride. It includes sensitivity to personal insult or affront of slight remark of offensive gestures through insulting would not trigger a sense of amor proprio. The stimulus that sets it off is only that which strike at the Filipinos has highly valued attributes. For example, an abandoned wife will refuse to seek financial support from husband who has abandoned her no matter how financially destitute she is on his principle. Amor proprio is short means ego defensiveness, dignity or one's personal pride to traditional oriental attitude of having face. So amor proprio is also called as pride or hiya. A person whose breach of conduct, such as the pride of above example, is deemed to have lost himself or amor proprio may receive the judgment. Unlike in the West, where there is only wrong and the right person only needs to feel guilty in he if wrong. Hiya operates even when the person's absolutely right and the other person's wrong. This is because of the Filipino interaction between hiya and amor proprio. Like for example, a person may hesitate to collect a long overdue financial debt or item borrowed because to raise the matter of face-to-face may place persons amor proprio at risk and can cause the later of flare-up. Public confirmation can lead to violence. Filipinos avoiding open conflict as matter of amor proprio and honor. That is the end of my topic, and that's all. God bless.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, ma'am. Hello, I'm Shermy R. Mendoza, fourth year student, Section Alpha. I represent Group 3. So, my topic for today is all about Filipino traits. So, what is Filipino traits? Filipino traits is optimism, humor, and positivity are valued in the Philippines. Filipinos love celebrations and festivities. The country has a long list of national holidays, and many provinces and cities have their own sets of local holidays. So, Filipino values: hiya, pakikisama, utang na loob, and respect to others make a Filipino an individual with unique moral obligation to treat one another, resulting to community ties. So, um, Filipino have a good traits like pakikisama or harmony, joyous, highly intelligent, faithful, loyal, bayanihan, being optimistic, self-reliance, very competitive, very brave, and also known for their adaptability and endurance. If we have good traits of Filipino, they also have bad traits. Complain a lot, see only evil or judgmental, plastikan, backstabbers, nepotism or favoritism, crab mentality, always late, chismosa or chismoso, pakialamero and paasa. So traits and characteristics. Filipino has one of the best traits in the world, one of you must know. Although they have been colonized by several countries, core values from their ancestors remain intact and still applied up this time. And that's all. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Elaine Jane Aquila. My topic for today is about Filipino traits. This topic is the continuation of the topic of Miss Mendoza. So let's continue. There is 12 characteristics of Filipino traits. First, hospitable. This is one of the most popular qualities of Filipino foreigners who have gone to the Philippines find themselves falling in love for their hospitality. It is different kind of values which already existed thousands of years ago. Ang mga Filipino is very hardworking. Kanami itong masaligan. Una, ang mga foreigners, ang gusto jud nila is Filipino workers ilang kwaon. Mga Filipino. Because masaligan ang Filipino. Buutan ug kugihan. Number 2, respectful. Children respect elders by saying po and opo, which means yes when answering their elders. Children or young adults also show respect by putting their elders' hand on their foreheads. Nalang mo amin kasi mong mama at papa, lolo't lola, auntie, uncles, o mga elders nimo. Filipino also show respect at work by making a nodding to their employees. Kanang mutando ka o muhinagmo mo sa imong katrabaho. That's a sign of respect. 3. Strong family ties, and religious. Filipino value their family so much that they tend to be intact. Grabe kuno makahatag og kanamit ay grabe ang Filipino grabe ka strong ang Filipino families because they have a big love of each other. O grabe ka religious ang Filipino. Filipino also a religious one because they have a big faith with God. So number 4, generosity and helpful. This is being observed when one person has nothing and they tend to share what they have to them. Kung unsay naa nimo, mo share kanila. Mo share ka sa katawo nimo. Samot na ang nanghinganlan. Ngana ka generosity og helpful ang tao. Ngana ka buutan og manggihatagon ang Filipino. Number 5, hardworking. Filipinos are hardworking people to the fact that they are willing to work several times for almost a day to sustain the needs and wants of their family. Grabe ka hardworking ang mga Pilipino. Bisag nagkadubli-dubli na ilang trabaho kay para lagi masustintuhan nila ang mga needs ilang family. Bisag gikapoy na sila, hago na kayo ilang lawas, they still do all their best for their family needs. Number 6, loving and caring. This is true. Filipino are the sweetest and loving people. Why? Because you know it from yourself, because you are a Filipino. Loving and caring to all people around. You give love and care to every people. Number 7, family orientation. Filipinos possess a genuine and deep love for family, which includes not simply spouse and children, parents and siblings, but also grandparents, aunts, uncle, cousin, godparents, and other ceremonial relatives. Grabe ka family-oriented ang Filipino. Like, every event, every special event, naadyo na sila nagatapok. Bisag-bisag asa pa na sila mga abot, uliun dyan na nila sa isa ka lugar para lang to celebrate that one. Number 8, flexibility, adaptability, and creativity. Filipino has a great capacity to adjust to circumstance and to surround the environment in both physical and social aspect. So, ang Pilipino kuno, dali ra maka-adapt sa usa ka butang. Og ang Pilipino is creative, bisag simple nga butang mahimong creative. Number 9, ability to survive. Despite crediting poverty, many Filipinos survive. They can even make a livelihood from garbage dump, or survive many invaders, oppressors, and natural calamities, and have come out with hope and determination to carve out existence anew. Significantly, the typical Filipino greeting is mabuhay. So, ang Filipino, naa sila'y hope and determination to survive. Bisag ka tong gabagyo, tong bagyong Udit, remember? Way back of December, I don't know the exact date, I forgot, but many Filipino lost their house. Daghan yung balay nga nangawagtang. Daghang mga tao nga nawagtangan o mga balay, mga pinwianan. But they have hope and determination to survive because for them that is just a challenge of their lives. Because they have a big faith of God. So number 10, camaraderie, pakikisama or kapwa-tao. While this trait is true to some extent, it must be noted that camaraderie will only occur among close friends and relatives. Gone were the days when you will see people helping each other even if they don't know one another. So base pa lang sa gone were the days when you will see people helping each other even if they don't know one another. bisag wala sadya kailaan na she or he don't know the person, iyaha pong tabangan. Mao na unsa ka maayo ang Pilipino. So number 11, deep of gratitude. Deep of gratitude still resides in the Filipino psyche. You give a favor to a Filipino and they will surely remember it even they already returned the favor. Ug mubuhat kag maayo sa isa ka tawo. Sa Pilipino, mahinumduman gihapon na nila hangtod sa hantod. Bisag gihatag na sila og return nimo. They still remember what good you did to them. So the last number is colonial mentality. Number 12. Colonial mentality. Colonial mentality is the thinking that foreign talents and products are always the good, the better, and the best, and with that, the local ones are poor or has no quality at all. So, ang Filipino is so very talented. Like, we all know that Filipino are talented person. Like, they will do all their best to be good at. So,
Ma'am, I'm Jenny Bibias Malato, a 4th-year Alpha student, and I'm going to report today this topic all about Philippines social values and organization. The great majority of the Philippine population is bound together by common values and common religion. So the first subtopic is all about social values. So, Philippine society is characterized by many positive traits. Among these are strong religious faith, respect for authority, and high regard for amor proprio or self-esteem and smooth interpersonal relationships. Philippine respect for authority is based on the special honor paid to elder members of the family and by extension to anyone in a position of power. This characteristic is generally conducive to the smooth running of society, although when taken to extreme, it can develop into authoritarianism that discourages independent judgment and individual responsibility and initiative. Filipinos are sensitive to attacks on their own self-esteem and cultivate a sensitivity to the self-esteem of others as well. Anything that might hurt others' self-esteem is to be avoided, or else one risks terminating relationship. One who is insensitive to others is said to lack a sense of shame and embarrassment, the principal sanction against improper behavior. This great concern for self-esteem helps to maintain harmony in society and within one's particular circle, but it also can give rise to clannishness and willingness to sacrifice personal integrity to remain in the good graces of the group. Strong personal faith enables Filipinos to face great difficulties and unpredictable risks in the assurance that God will take care of things. But if allowed to deteriorate in fatalism, even these admirable characteristics can hinder initiative and stand in a way of progress. So, the second subtopic is all about the social organization, and social organization generally follows in a single pattern. Although variations do occur reflecting the influence of local traditions among lowland Christian Filipinos, social organizations continues to be marked primarily by personal alliance systems, that is, groupings composed of kin, real and the real and the ritual, grantors and recipients of favors, friends and partners in commercial exchanges. So next slide. Philippine personal alliance systems are anchored by kinship, beginning with the nuclear family. A Filipinos loyal goes first to the immediate family. Identity is deeply embedded in the web of kinship. It is normative that one owes support, loyalty, and trust to one's close kin, and because kinship is structured bilaterally with affinal as well as consanguineal relatives, one's kin can include a large number of people. Still, beyond the nuclear family, Filipinos do not assume the same degree of support, loyalty, and trust that they assume for immediate family members, for whom loyalty is nothing less than a social imperative. With respect to kin, beyond this nuclear family, closeness in a relationship depends very much on physical proximity. So, next slide. Bands of ritual kinship sealed on any three ceremonial occasions. First, the baptism. Second, confirmation and marriage intensify and extend personal alliances. This mutual kinship system, known as compadrazgo, meaning godparenthood or sponsorship, dates back at least to the introduction of Christianity and perhaps earlier. It is primary method of extending the family from which one can expect help in the way of favors, such as jobs, loans, or just simple gifts on special occasions. But in asking a friend to become godparent to a child, a Filipino is also asking that person to become a closer friend. Thus, it is common to ask acquaintances who are of higher economic or social status than oneself to be sponsors. Such ritual kinship cannot be depended on in moments of crisis to the same extent as real kinship, but it is functions for small and regular acts of support such as gift giving. A dyadic bond between two individuals may be formed based on the concept of utang na loob. Although it is expected that the debtor will attempt repayment, it is widely recognized that the debt, or as one in one's obligation to a parent, can never be fully repaid, and the obligation can last for generations. It is possible for another's to become educated are gifts that incur utang na loob. Moreover, such gifts initiate a long-term reciprocal interdependency in which the grantor of the favor can expect help from the debtor whenever the need arises, and the debtor can in turn ask others favors. Such reciprocal personally alliances have had obvious implications for the society in general and the political system in particular. In 1990, educated Filipinos were less likely to feel obligated to extend help, thereby not initiating an utang na loob relationship, that were rural dwellers among whom traditional values remained strong. Believed that as Philippine society became more modernized and urban in orientation, utang na loob would become less important in the political and social systems. In the commercial context, suki relationship or the market exchange partnerships may develop between two people who agree to become regular customer and supplier. In the marketplace, Filipinos will regularly buy from certain specific suppliers who will give them in return reduced prices, good quality, and often credit. Suki relationships often apply in other contexts as well. For example, regular patrons or restaurants and small neighborhood retail shops and tailoring shops often receive special treatment in return for their patronage. Suki does not more than help develop economic exchange relationships. Because trust is such as vital aspects, it creates a platform for personal relationships that can blossom into genuine friendship between individuals. Patron-client bonds are also very much a part of prescribed patterns of appropriate behavior. This may be formed between tenant farmers and other landlords, or between any patron who provides resources and influence in return for the client's personal services and general support. Friendship often is placed on a par with kinship as the most central Filipino relationships. Certainly, ties among those within one's group of friends are an important factor in the development of personal alliance systems. Here, as in other categories, a willingness to help one another provides the prime rationale for the relationship. Next slide. These categories of these categories: real kinship, ritual kinship, utang na loob relationships, suki relationships, patron-client, bonds, and friendship are not exclusive. They are interrelated components of the Filipinos' personal alliance system. Thus, two individuals may be cousins, become friends, and then cement their friendship through godparenthood. Each of their social networks will typically include kin or near and far affinal and consanguinal or ritual kin, one or two patron-client relationships, one or more other close friends, or an other larger number of social friends, and a dozen of more market exchange partners. Utang na loob may infused all of those relationships. In 1990, personal alliance systems extended far beyond the local arena, becoming pyramidal structures going all the way to Manila, where members of the national political elite represented the tops of numerous personal alliance pyramids. The Philippine elite was composed of wealthy landlords, financiers, business people, high military officers, and national political figures, made up of few families often descended from the ilustrados, or enlightened ones, of the Spanish colonial period. The elite controlled a high percentage of the nation's wealth. The lavish lifestyles of this group usually included owning at least two homes, or one in Manila and one in the province where the family originated. But patronizing expensive shops and restaurants, belonging to exclusive clubs, and having a retinue of servants. Many counted among their social acquaintances a number of rich and influential foreigners, especially Americans, Spaniards, and other Europeans. The children attended exclusive private schools in Manila and were often sent abroad, usually to the United States, for higher education. In addition, by 1990, a new elite of business people, mainly from Hong Kong and Taiwan, had developed. In cities, there existed a considerable middle-class group consisting of small entrepreneurs, civil servants, teachers, merchants, and small property owners, and clerks whose employment was relatively secure. In many middle-class families, both spouses worked. They tended to place great value on higher education, and most had a college degree. They also shared a sense of common identity derived from similar educational experiences, facility in using English, common participation in service clubs such as the Rotary, and similar economic standing. Different income groups lived in different neighborhoods in the cities and lacked the personal contact essential to the patron-client relationship. Probably the major social division was between those who had a regular source of income and those who made up the informal sector of the economy. The latter subsisted by salvaging material from garbage dumps, begging, occasional paid labor, and peddling. Although their income was sometimes as high as those in regular jobs, they lacked the protection of labor legislation and had no claim to any type of social insurance. So that's all about.
Good afternoon, ma'am. My name is Sudel Samatak Jr. from Section A, and my topic is hospitality, honesty, and resiliency of the Filipino people. What is hospitality? Hospitality is the most common terminology that describe how Filipinos welcome foreigners or tourists who visit the country. The trait of the Filipinos to other visitors are undeniably exceptional. Whenever a visitor stays in a Filipino home, there will be a feast of a grand celebration, and it is a somehow tradition for us to prepare bountiful Filipino cuisine for guests to have a taste for our culture through the food. In addition, a cheerful family would typically be ready, accommodate, and spend time with the visitors. To add to that, Filipino families are often more than willing to share not only their meals but their entire home as well. As a matter of fact, Filipinos would usually greet their visitors with the praise, feel, and at home to ensure that they are eased during their stay. Some ways that Filipino shows our hospitality. Filipinos are being hospitable is giving more than your best to make any guest feel at home as much as possible. Filipinos know hospitality has no borders or boundaries. Bless or manopo to the elders. Helping those people who need a help even if they didn't asking for help. Hospitality had given its Filipinos value. Filipino has been known for amazingly friendly to strangers. They treat visitors, foreigners, or guests as if they have known them already. Hospitality seems to be a Filipino identity. Whether people like it or not, one cannot deny but admit the truth once he or she visited the Philippines. Hospitality beats delicious Filipino dishes, landmarks, and top tourist destinations around the Philippines. Because foreigners observe in the moment they reach a Philippine airport, they are met with hospitality with Filipinos working at the airport towards riding on taxi. These are some famous habits of Filipino reflected to hospitality. It is now funny to think how Filipinos can be managed to smile to an angry man. They can even say thank you to a dismayed person after being thrown with hurtful words. Even if Filipinos are being talked harshly, they will always respond nicely. That's what Filipino hospitality are. Kings and queens of reunions. When people from the other countries can visit all their own families once someone dies or when there is a birthday in the Philippines, Filipinos have many reasons to have reunions. It becomes a Filipino sense of hospitality when Filipino families would have opportunity to show their relative friends and workmates. But it is the best thing can happen on earth. Filipinos do not want to be alone. When people from the other countries and also third country, someone dies. Yes. Best entertainer. Filipinos are clowns. Every people laugh amid the moment of emotional stress. It is a form of think that they are highly valued by their guides. They would impersonate someone or the foreigners themselves just to entertain them through their stay in the country. Just to keep foreigners get rid boredom, Filipinos tend to tell story of their life everywhere they go. Resiliency of the Filipino people. Now, if you're familiar with the term Filipino resiliency, means that Filipinos, especially the victims of the natural disaster, can overcome any hardship and idolize for doing so. Even if Filipino overcome many obstacles in their life, they always find their ways without need any help from others, because Filipinos are very resourceful. That's what Filipinos stand for. A strong man can do or can always find a way to live, even if in the midst of disasters or any obstacles would come in our life. So that's all about, ma'am. Thank you and God bless.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, ma'am. I'm Eliseo Orang Jr. My topic for today is all about Concept of Honesty in Tagalog by Milia D. Aguilar 2000. The Filipino concept of honesty can be better understood by analyzing its equivalent in Filipino using the language Tagalog based. In order to arrive this equivalence, the author consulted Tagalog-English dictionary, which is the most popular. So all of the dictionary agree that the Tagalog equivalent for honesty in English and tapat in Tagalog. The word tapat has equivalent to three other groups, which is first is faithful. So faithful in English and Tagalog, which is mapagkatiwalaan. Second is sincere in English, in Tagalog, taos puso. Third is upright or marangal in Tagalog. Honesty, faithfulness, sincerity, and uprightness are quite distinct concepts. Honesty and uprightness are linked to absolute truth, while faithfulness are fidelity as well as sincerity are not necessarily. Honestly, faithfulness, sincerity, and uprightness are quite distinct. One can be sensed without necessarily being upright, and one can be faithful without necessarily being honest. In order to be totally upright, one must be not afraid to hurt or to get hurt. This definition is obvious in the 1983 edition of Webster 9th with Collegiate Dictionary. The 1999 dictionary formed Roget's 21 first century thesaurus. On the other hand, less truthfulness and candidness as well as synonyms or honesty. Loyal and faithfulness as two other synonyms. These are included of secondary list of 34 or other synonyms. Aside from the mentioned by Webster, bluntness, impeccability, incorruptibility, rectitude, right, scrupulousness, strength, forwardness, straightness, upwardness, veracity, and virtue. In Tagalog, the word karapatan links all of the concept of honesty. So, faithfulness, sincerity, and uprightness. But to be tapat is really to be faithful and sincere. In the concept of karapatan, one takes into account matters or relationship not okay, matters fruitful or truth or corrections. So, realizance of Filipino people. Filipinos have learned to appreciate what they have, make most of it, and tolerate difficulties. Realizance is the deep-rooted characteristics that makes up to the Filipino identify and created a sense of community and compassion. Realizance has become a hot word recently to describe ability, and Filipinos immediately bounce back from hardship and devastating events. I have two questions about realizance. First question is why Filipino known as realizance? Filipino known realizance because Filipino are resilient rather, because our Filipino haven't had no choice that not to be our people to survive this dictatorship, corruption, centuries, and colonialism, imperialism, and one natural disaster after another. Number two question. Why being resilient is important? Being resilient is important. It's because of needed to process and overcome hardship. Through backing relationship, realizance get easy overwhelmed and meet time and unhealthy coping mechanism. That's all. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Peter Paul Lasay, a Group 3 member. My topic is all about the influence of history in Spain and America. The influence of history in Spain and America. The influence of history in Spain. The culture of Spain is based on a variety of historical influences, primarily based on the culture and ancient Rome, Spain being a prominent part of the Greco-Roman world for centuries. The very name of Spain comes from the name that the Romans gave to the country, Hispania. The influence of history in America. A tale intended to be after the fact is how Stephen Crane introduced his harrowing story, which is The Open Boat. But this statement also shows that history influences American literature. Throughout history, there has been a connection among literary works from different periods. The connection is that history, current events, and social events have influenced American literature. author their literary works and the specific writing styles are affected and influenced by the world around them. Authors have long used experiences they have lived through and or taken out of history to help shape and express in their works. Writing styles are also affected by the current trends and opinions of the period of represent. By reading American literature, we have seen the inhumane treatment of slaves. We have seen the destruction caused by wars, and we have seen the devastation of eras such as the Great Depression. That's all. Thank you.
So, good evening everyone. I am Jerry Almapoy, Bscrim 4. This report is continuation of the Mr. Lasai's report. So first, the Spanish influence. March 16, 1521, Ferdinand Magellan, a Portuguese explorer sailing for Spain, arrived in the Philippines. He first landed on the islands before arriving at Cebu. At Cebu, he baptized and converted Philippines to native Christianity. Battle of Mactan was a first-class boat in the archipelago of the Philippines on April 27, 1521. The warriors of Lapu-Lapu, one of the datos of Mactan, overpowered and defeated the Spanish force for fighting for Araha Humabon of Cebu under the command of Portuguese explorer Ferdinand Magellan, who was killed in a battle. The outcome of the battle resulted in the departure of the Spanish crew from the archipelago of the Philippines. So, who is Lapu-Lapu? The first hero of the Philippines and the first Filipino to resist Spanish colonization and delay the Spanish conquest and conquering of the Philippines for over 40 years. After the halt of Spanish conquest in the Philippines for about 40 years, Spain still managed to conquer and influence the country greatly for at least 300 years. So, major influence of Spanish is, example number one is regionalism. When a Filipino is discontented with a group, or he or she belongs to he or she will walk away and form his or her group. So Bisaya, it means nga murag mag-ija-ija man ang regionalism. So ang Christianity, no need to explain because kabaw na ta kung saan ang Christianity. So here are the examples of the Filipino languages. Tagalog, for instance, contain thousands of words, loan words. Here are a few examples. So English, mug. Spanish, tasa. Tagalog is tasa. English, ice. Ang Spanish, halo. Tagalog is yellow. So before we go to the Asian influence from Filipino, we go to the basic Filipino history. The Philippines is a country in Southeast Asia and an archipelago boasting more than 7,100 islands. So kaning 7,100 island at present is 7,641 na siya. The islands are grouped into the three major islands, so the Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. The national language of the country are Filipino and English. However, there are 8 major languages branches that are spoken in the country. So man ang 8 ka mga laing-laing nistoryahan sa tibuok Pilipinas. Number 1 is the Tagalog, Ilocano, Kapampangan, Pangasinan, Waray, Cebuano, Ilonggo, and Bicol. However, the major language being taught in the Philippines is Tagalog. There are 3 major cultures that impacted the Filipino culture heavily: the Chinese, Spanish, and American. History played a critical role in the evolution of Philippine culture, life affecting their character and how they think and act. So we go to the Chinese influence. Between the 10th and 16th centuries, before the Spanish colonizations, Chinese settlers sailed to the Philippines. They brought porcelain, silk in exchange for beeswax, deer horn, and trespan. Silag, the trade with Chinese or China was the beginning of the major influence and contribution in the Filipino culture. One of the influence was culinary arts. Some culinary techniques that the Filipinos were taught, including sauté dishes, rice cakes, and noodles dishes like pancit, are influence of China. In addition, the Chinese way of family structure also heavily influenced the traditional Filipino family structure. The traditional Filipino structure is very rigid, authoritarian, and uses Chinese-based nomenclature. The eldest son is called Kuya, and the eldest daughter is referred to as Ate. So, mao na itong ginagamit karon. Both Kuya and Ate have authority and responsibility over the sibling. So, kabaw naman ta, ang bunso gudod may pinaka alagang alaga. So, we go to the last influence from Asian, the Arab influence. About 200 years before the Spanish arrived in the Philippines, Arabs traded and settled in the Philippines. Arabs mostly colonized and influenced the islands of Mindanao. In Mindanao, the Arab Muslim influenced and converted the indigenous people to Islam. So, kabanong tang halos mga Mindanao ang culture is, ang religion is Islam. They also introduced the sultanate form of government. A sultan is the main chief in charge. In addition, Arabs have some influence in numerous Filipino languages such as Apo or sa English grandchild. Alamat is legend, Sulat is letter, and Salamat is thank you. Came from the Arabic language. Arab also introduced the use of calendars to the Filipinos. Last but not the least, Arab improved the relationship between the Philippines and other Asian countries. So that's all. Thank you.
Hello, I am Noor Arlikong. Today I am going to report topic all about Filipino character. Catholicism has a strong influence of Filipino character. So according to Thank God I'm Filipino, the Philippines one of the most religious country in the world. So ang Filipino may pinaka number one kay most means arang ka Diyos nun. Particularly in Catholicism and Islam. Families would encourage and strengthen the values of their children and would at least have one day a week for worship at the same time strengthening family ties. So, kitagan doon nilag time to worship God and strengthen their children. Filipinos have been described as friendly, outgoing, sensitive, easily offended, nosy, garrulous, direct, hospitable, feisty, irrelevant, good, nurtured, natured, clever, witty, gregarious, happy, generous, easy to laugh, gracious, easy to befriend, casual, fun-loving, sensitive, and hospitable. Personal and family honor are stressed as well as dignity and pride. Education is high valued and families make great sacrifices to educate their children. So ang Pilipino mo ni mga karakteristik sa mga Pinoy. Filipinos have strong sense of family and community. They are very gregarious and like to talk and hang out with family and friends. So mga Pinoy, nang friendly kayo, dali maduulan. They love to fool around, gossip, make jokes, and tease one another. Rumors spread quickly. Some say Filipinos are happy-go-lucky. So, naimingon uban nga ang Pilipino kuno, happy-go-lucky ra kuno. So, easy ra kuno. Si lipay-lipay. People who are often pessimistic about today but always optimistic that tomorrow will be better. So, think positive kayo. Arang ka positive thinker ang mga Pinoy. That's all. Thank you.
Good day everyone. I am RG Lugaos and I'm going to report about my assigned topic, religion and Filipino character. But I'm going to tackle only about the religion because we divided the topic into two. So the Filipino character will be discussed by the next reporter. So religion and Filipino character. So what is religion? Religion is a collection of cultural systems, belief systems, and worldviews that relate humanity to spirituality and sometimes to moral values. So, religion as a cultural system. It is composed of myths, rituals, symbols, and beliefs created by humans as a way of giving our individual and collective lives a sense of meaning. So, ang religion give nahimo ng kultura nato nga nay mga patutuo, mga rituals nga buhaton nga ang tao ra poy gahimo. So, aron naapoy meaning ang atong kuan ba ginabuhi ba nga natay sundon bitaw gihimo na natong kultura. So, religion are excellent examples of belief system. So, ang religion nahimo na siyang belief system. So, ato nang natinuuhan na. So, as there are hundreds of them on the planet. So, daghan kay relihiyon sa daghan kay relihiyon sa diri sa kalibutan. So, religion serves to outline principles for followers to adhere to, like treating another as one would treat themselves. So, ang religion nahimo na siyang outline. So sukdanan sa tay lain-laing relihiyon. So, depende nimo og asa ka mo mutuo nga relihiyon. So, nahimo ra gyapon na siyang nang mabuo mo kay magkahayusa mo sa inyong tinuhan. So, religion also are worldviews that are expressed not only in beliefs but also in narratives and symbols. So, sa relihiyon natay mga simbolo mga like atuwa mga cross atong gituuhan, tayo Katoliko nay cross, sa mga Muslim nay lahi po dilahang symbols dito. So, more than this, religion orient action. So, nato tay mga actions, unsay mga actions buhaton sa usa ka relihiyon. Tahay Katoliko nay mga action manguros ana. So, and any genuine religious tradition necessary is concerned with normative behavior, whether ethical or religious in character. So, naputay tradisyon nga gipanghimo sa atong sa relihiyon, no? Lain-lain man ang kuan. So, religion influences morals and values through multiple pathways. It shapes the way people think about and respond to the world, fosters habits such as church attendance and prayer, and provides a wave of social connections. So, gihimo na po natong kuan ang relihiyon, ang religion atong tinuhan nga mahimo na po natong habit tahay na kada Domingo simba ta. Yeah. magampo nya napod tay mga buhaton og tay mag unsay mga lihokon sa simbahan nahimo na po nato na siyang kuan tay nahimong habit ba. So munay nakakuan sa reliyon nga makahiusa sa tanan. So religion helps in creating an ethical framework and also a regulator for values in day-to-day life. So this particular approach helps in character building of a person. In other words, religion acts as an agency of socialization. Thus, religion helps in building values like love, empathy, respect, and harmony. So, ang religion, maudyo'y nakapahiusa na to, no? Ay, lain tag relihiyon, pero usaray atong gituuhan, ang kuan ra gyud, Ginoo ra gyud. So, lahi man tag relihiyon, lahi tag tinuuhan, pero usara atong ampuan, no? Ang Ginoo ra gyud, no? So, lain man tag relihiyon, so na kuan ta nga kamauta mo respeto sa usag-usa, gugmaay sa usag-usa, and mo to natay mabuo nga kuan as a group, as a mutuo ta sa atong relihiyon, mutuo tag tinuuhan, mutuo tag Ginoo. So naa diha ang gugma sa usag-usa. So mao